President Zuma is the product of Madiba. And we welcome President Zuma's speech, his commitment and his dedication towards eradicating poverty. But of course, there are many minority communities throughout the province, and what we would like to see, each one of them have problems, whether it's religion, sports, education, housing. We have no doubt that President Zuma's plan of action will deliver all from the shackles of poverty.
My overall impression is that President Zuma didn't give a State of the Nation address, he gave an election address. What he did was look over 20 years, and he told some parts of the South African story. And I think that he is right in this, that South Africa today is a much, much better place than it was under apartheid, much better. But we need to make a lot more progress and a lot more quickly. And that story of progress is not really President Zuma's to tell. It was President Mandela's and it was President Mbeki's. Under those two administrations, we did make progress, and I'm afraid that progress is being reversed under President Zuma. The one exception is the rollout of HIV antiretrovirals for AIDS patients. That has improved tremendously. Under the DA, the Western Cape was the only government that was doing that. Now it's being done all over the country, so that certainly is progress. But on jobs, the president has no credibility. On jobs, 5 years ago, he promised 5 million jobs, and tonight he said only 500,000 had been delivered in terms of economic opportunities. On corruption, for example, the president has absolutely no credibility because he refuses to go to court to face his own corruption charges. And then on things like education, he keeps on reverting to questions of quantity, the numbers of kids in school, but he never actually looks at the issues of quality and the quality of education.
I think the president's speech was excellent. He recounted the strides the country has made over the last 20 years and also the achievements of the last 5 years. The emphasis of the president was jobs and the economy, because he has to address the concerns that are pertinent in our people's minds, in our people's hearts. And he emphasized the critical role that infrastructure development is playing. The issue of decent and quality and sustainable jobs featured very prominently in the speech, to emphasize that the focus of this and the next administration must be the creation of sustainable and decent jobs to restore our people's dignity and be able to move our country forward. So I thought in that way it was an excellent speech.
Well, it was a cleverly written speech. The president started by getting the sympathy of the public by referring to so many dead people. Because when you talk about people who died in the struggle, people sympathize with you. So he cleverly took that decision and took that route because he knows many South Africans are not happy with government performance. You know, there are too many people who are involved in violent protests. Why? Because they say, government, you have failed us.
It was totally different. Obviously, it was a reflection of what the government has achieved in the last 20 years, which is good for people that are not sure what the government has been doing. You know, in the last 20 years, all the achievements, it was basically a reflection of what the government has done in the past 20 years. And I think it was a good one, more especially for people out there that are not aware of what the government had to do in the last 20 years.
Well, I think this was one of the most misleading speeches of them all. I don't think he was talking about the South Africa in which all of us live. I think he was talking about a country that's unknown to all of us. He says that they are winning the battle for service delivery. At the time, all the provinces in which, in fact, 8 of the provinces that they are governing are up in fire because people have no water, no electricity, and they are fighting over service delivery.
The president spent 80% of the State of the Nation address accounting to the nation about the work done over the last 5 years. He has touched on other elements of the 20 years because those constitute the foundation of the work done on the last 5 years. That's why the emphasis was on the 5 priorities set at the beginning of the 5 years.
Maybe his advisors made him believe that because he's the president, he can say anything he feels like saying and that all of us would believe it, but it's most misleading. It's a sad thing. It points to the fact that the president had nothing to say on his own behalf. I'm sorry to say it, but that's true.
The speech dealt with issues of governance which are of importance to my institution as a public protector, and recognized the roles of various institutions that have to work together in promoting good governance. And among those institutions that were recognized are Chapter 9 institutions as partners that have to assist government in promoting democracy.
The president spent a lot of time on focusing on the economy and a lot of the issues where the ANC has made achievements. But to us from the ACDP, the question which arises is, why are the people so unhappy on the ground? Ipso Markinor, the polls showed that the president has a 53% people that are unhappy with him. So obviously there is a disjuncture between what he said tonight and what the people on the ground are experiencing. Yes, there has been a number of achievements over 20 years, and we would have thought about that. But a lot still needs to be done, and that is why there is widespread frustration and anger and widespread protest action, and that is something that also needs to address. The president referred to that, but the underlying question is, what is being done to address youth employment? Is enough being done? And we from the ACDP believe that more could have been done to address that widespread frustrations.
Every utterance was aimed at how many votes the ANC can get, because there are things that he said which he knows cannot be delivered.